What's good, Steeler Nation? My name is Jack Sperry, and this is Steelers Talk. Thanks for spending part of your day here to talk some Steelers football. And today, we're going to be doing my first mock draft, my first full 7-round mock draft for the Steelers for the 2023 offseason. It's going to be an offshoot, kind of like a part 2 to the perfect offseason video that we did yesterday or a couple days back, depending on when this video comes out. But before we get going, make sure to go subscribe to the channel right now. We are getting so close to 20K subscribers here on the channel, and once we do that, guys, I'm going to give myself a Gatorade bath. Someone's going to come and dump an entire cooler full of Gatorade on me, color of your choice, of course. We'll have a poll on that on the channel here soon. But guys, on the channel here, we have a bunch of great content coming out. More draft content. We're going to be doing a weekly mock draft, free agency stuff, a bunch of really great off-season content coming your way. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you love the black and gold, you love the Steelers, you want daily Steelers news and rumors content this offseason, because it's going to be a great offseason, guys. All right, now let's get into some of the players that I said that I wanted the Steelers to re-sign in my perfect playoff or in my perfect offseason scenario that I had earlier this week. I had them re-signing Cam Sutton, Terrell Edmunds, DeMonte KZ, Robert Spillane, and Derek Watt. Okay, and then in free agency, I had them picking up Isaiah Wynn to be the future left tackle, Juwan James, kind of an older guy, to be the right tackle for next season. Then Jacoby Brissett, backup quarterback, Sam Martin, a new punter, and then J.J. Watt on a team-friendly deal to join up with his two brothers to try to give a Super Bowl here to the Pittsburgh Steelers. You can go check out the full version of this. I kind of fleshed it out a bit more in our video earlier this week. So if you haven't watched that yet, you want to go see me break down free agency, who I want to re-sign, who I want to cut, all that good stuff, guys. Go ahead and check out that video right now or after this video. All right, so now let's get into my mock draft here. First mock draft of the offseason, full 7 rounds here. But before we get started, let's take a look at what the Steelers have to work with here. So they have a first-round pick, 17th overall, so that's about right smack dab in the middle of the first round. And then they pretty much get like a pseudo second first-rounder there with that first pick in the second round. Remember, Miami does not have a first-round draft pick this year because they cheated, because Will Scott is going to love this. They cheated, guys. They tampered with Sean Payton and Tom Brady, so they don't have a first-rounder this year. And essentially, the Steelers get a second first-round pick now because of the idiocy of Harrison Graham's Chicago Bears. Okay, so the Chase Claypool trade absolutely fleeced Chicago, in my opinion, so you get that second first-rounder essentially at number 32 overall. You got your regular second-rounder at number 49, a third-rounder, a fourth-rounder, and then 2 seventh-rounders for 7 total picks. So let's just get right into it here. My first pick here is going to be Christian Gonzalez, the cornerback out of Oregon. And I really like this kid, man. He's a little lean, which means he's a bit skinny. You know, he needs to add a couple pounds, but I really like the way this kid plays. He plays aggressive. He plays with great technique. He's a willing tackler in the run game. I think Mike Tomlin's going to look at this kid's film. He's going to see his athleticism, his length. He's got all the physical tools, guys. He just needs to put on a couple more pounds, in my opinion, and I think that he could really become a true cornerback one, a true lockdown man zone. Doesn't matter. I think this kid has what it takes to do whatever kind of scheme you want to play. This kid's going to be really good, in my opinion. I'm really excited to see if he can fall to number 17 to the Steelers right now. I really think that he could. And you take at the hypothetical cornerback depth chart here with all the moves that I've made here in this quote-unquote perfect Steelers scenario here in the offseason. Cam Sutton, brought him back. You got William Jackson III coming back next year. Arthur Mallett still there in the nickel, and then Christian Gonzalez can fit in there, and while he puts on a couple more pounds, he gets used to the NFL game, he can learn from guys like Cam Sutton, like William Jackson III, that have been there in the past, and he can really develop and become that cornerback one, that lockdown number 1 cornerback for the Steelers of the future. But let me know in the comments section right now, which position should the Steelers prioritize in round 1? Type CB if you think cornerback, or type LT if you think left tackle. This is the pinned comment on today's video. So whenever there's an ad break here on the video, just go right down in the comments section, find that pinned comment. It'll be right there at the top, and answer today's question. All right, now let's get into my second round pick here. Number 32 overall here. I have them taking the Hawaiian Mountain Siaki Ika. I think in every single mock draft that I've done so far, I've taken this kid because the Steelers need a nose tackle, guys. We know Montravius Adams didn't do a great job this year. Tyson Alulu didn't do a great job. I didn't pick anyone up in free agency, so the Steelers need to pick up a nose tackle in the draft. They get the best one here in Siaki Ika. He is massive, man. 358 pounds, 6'4". He will be a boulder in the middle of that Steelers run defense. He'll be that run stuffer that the Steelers really, really need, and he is that last piece to the Steelers defensive line that they really need at this point, and he can really be a mainstay in the Steelers defensive line, I think, for years to come. Let's take a look at the hypothetical defensive line depth chart. I had them taking J.J. Watt, right, in free agency. You add Siaki Ika, starting nose tackle in the base 3-4. And then you also have DeMarvin Leal on the roster, Loudermilk, and then, of course, you got Cam Hayward playing the 3 technique. And I'm really liking how this defensive line is looking. And then you also have your pass rushers in T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith, 2 guys that can really get after quarterbacks. Alex Highsmith probably going to get an extension this offseason. And, of course, T.J. is locked up for a little while as well. And, we've locked these guys down. We're probably going to be locking down Alex Highsmith pretty soon. You got to lock down your financial situation with our sponsor today, Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill. Guys, I'm someone that loves watching Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, all these streaming apps. I love streaming my TV, and I really like using this app. But sometimes, you get these subscriptions and you don't really use them. And 2 years down the line, you're still paying for them and you don't need to. So Rocket Money is a fantastic way to handle this problem, and the app shows you all of your subscriptions in one place and then cancels for you whatever you don't still want. Rocket Money can even find subscriptions you don't even know that you were paying for, and you may even find that you've been double charged for a subscription, just like I was with Netflix before I started using this. To cancel subscription on the Rocket Money app, all you have to do is press cancel there, and Rocket Money is going to take care of the rest for you. Get rid of useless subscriptions with Rocket Money now. Go to rocketmoney.com/Steelers Talk to help out the channel a little bit, but also help your pocketbook. I am saving a ton of money per month because I was spending a ton of money on stuff that I just didn't really need, guys. I got rid of those. I canceled those, and now it really helped me with my Christmas shopping. Inflation's tough on everyone's pocketbook, guys. So help out your financial situation right now by going to rocketmoney.com/Steelers Talk to, yes, help out the channel a little bit, but also help your financial situation. All right, now we get into the 49th overall pick here, and at this point in the offseason, the Steelers really need an inside linebacker, so I have them taking a guy, in my opinion, is probably the most pro-ready linebacker prospect in this year's NFL draft, and Henry To'oTo'o. All right, he is somebody that, he's played in Nick Saban's really complex scheme there in Alabama. It's a pro scheme, and he's going to be ready to come in right away. Now, he's a little bit undersized, 6'2", 228 pounds, a little bit undersized. So he's not going to be like a thumper, like a Mark Robinson in the run game, but you have a guy like Mark Robinson to deal with that sort of stuff. You got a guy like Siaki Ika in the second round to help you out in the run game. This guy, To'oTo'o, is someone that can come in. He's really, really good in pass coverage, in zone coverage, stuff like that. Somebody that I think that Mike Tomlin's really going to like, really smart player. I think he's going to come in day one and be the linebacker 1 for the Pittsburgh Steelers in round 2. So let's take a look at the inside linebackers on the roster currently. I think Henry To'oTo'o would be the number 1 inside linebacker for the Steelers if this scenario ended up playing out. And then you also have Mark Robinson, who you hope really develops here in year 2. And then you also have Robert Spillane, somebody that can be a rotational piece, someone that understands the defense and is a decent player for you as well. But, this is probably the weakest part of the Steelers roster at this point in the offseason. But inside linebacker is probably the least consequential position on the field on defense. So I'm okay with that if it means that you can bolster up the cornerback room, the defensive line, all that other stuff. So this might not be the strength of the Steelers, but I don't think it's necessarily a huge weakness either. All right, now let's get into round 3, number 80th overall. I have them taking Pitt Panther Kalijah Kancey. Man, I really like this kid. I think he's perfect for Mike Tomlin's gap penetrating run scheme. They're at a 5 technique. And the reason why I say a 5 technique, so essentially a defensive end in the 3-4 base system, is that he's undersized. 6 foot, 280 pounds as an interior defensive lineman. That's a bit light, but I think that he has the athleticism, the instincts, the gap penetration skills to be a really good 5 technique in a 3-4 system like the Steelers run. I think with J.J. Watt in the building, this is a kid that can really learn a lot from J.J., someone that can take over that 5 technique role for the future. I think he's somebody that has Pittsburgh mentality written all over him. So let's take a look again at the hypothetical defensive line depth chart for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think Casey would probably be more of a developmental piece going into 2023 to learn from J.J. Watt, to learn from Cameron Hayward. These guys learn how to play the defense, all this different stuff so that he can ascend to become a full-time starter in 2 or 3 years down the line. I really like the kid. He's really athletic, and he's got Pittsburgh Steeler written all over him, in my opinion. All right, guys, you got a question that you want to ask me about the Steelers, about the draft, about free agency, whatever it may be. You want to tell me I'm stupid, that I don't know what I'm talking about? Go to Twitter or Instagram right now. Go follow me and interact with me. All right, I check my DMs regularly. All right, if you shout me out, I'm probably gonna give you a response. All right, so go ahead, go to Twitter if you got a question about the Steelers or about the NFL or really just anything football related in general. I love talking with you guys, so go ahead and interact with me on Twitter or Instagram. I am at Jack_Sperry on Twitter and then at sparedog.football on Instagram. All right, now we get into round 4, and I kind of had a little bit of fun here, guys. I'm not going to lie. Matthew Peterson, the Browns host here, who I slapped on the show here on Sunday, that guy, he thinks Stetson Bennett isn't going to get drafted at all, all right? But I think he's going to get drafted. I think he's going to be somebody that's going to be a really good backup quarterback in the National Football League for a long time. He's a winner. He just won his second straight national championship. He's got great vision. He's got pretty good playmaking instincts. He's a pretty fast runner, actually. He reminds me a lot of Brock Purdy, only he's a little bit shorter and he's a little bit faster. That's who this kid is. He's going to be around for a long time. He's going to be able to win football games at the NFL level. I don't think you're ever going to build a team around him. I don't know if anyone is going to take him in the top 3 rounds because of that, but backup quarterback is an important position in the National Football League. We saw that with the Eagles, with Nick Foles, when they won their Super Bowl with their backup quarterback. Backup quarterback is a very important position to a lot of smart teams out there, and if you add him to the lineup here with Kenny Pickett at QB1 and then Jacoby Brissett as that veteran QB2, you bring Stetson Bennett in, and if he wins that QB2 spot, you can let go of Jacoby and save $3 million in cap space if you don't guarantee any of Jacoby's contract there. So, you bring in Bennett. He's never going to start over Kenny Pickett. I'm not drafting him to do that. I'm drafting him to be his backup and somebody that could potentially be the Steelers' backup quarterback for the next 5 to 8 to 10 years. Somebody that could come in and win football games as a backup, somebody that the team is going to respond to, someone that's a leader. I really like that idea, but am I crazy, guys? Is a 4th-round pick too early to use on a backup quarterback? Type 1 if you think yes, or type 0 if you think no. And finally, we got these last 2 7th-rounders here. Nathaniel Dell, wide receiver out of Houston. I really like this kid. I think with Calvin Austin III, you never really know what you're going to get from that slot wide receiver spot come next season. Steven Sims is the same way, right? But I think Nathaniel Dell is somebody that can come in. He's really explosive, really good with the ball in his hands, can make guys miss, a bit really electric player. Now, he's a bit undersized. He doesn't have the greatest hands in the world. So, he'll have to compete with Calvin Austin III there for that slot wide receiver spot. But bringing in more competition, bringing in more playmakers, bringing guys that are really good with the ball in their hand, I think is always a good thing. And if you can find players like that in the 7th round, I think that's a good thing. And then another thing to keep in mind is that the Steelers find these kinds of gems in the later rounds all the time. Mike Tomlin and this front office do a really great job at identifying wide receiver talent and then cultivating it. So I think this would be a good pick here in the 7th round. And finally, you might be thinking, where's the offensive tackle? tackle, Jack. We need tackle. We need offensive line here for the Steelers. I finally take one here in the 7th round with, you pronounce it Richard Grugier. I think that's how you pronounce it. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, but he's somebody that's never really going to be a starting tackle in the National Football League, probably. But he plays with really good technique. He is athletic. He does play with good hand technique as well, and I think that he's going to be a good swing tackle in the National Football League for a long time. I think he's going to be somebody that can come in, play left tackle, right tackle, and handle his business. He's probably not going to be that menacing left tackle or right tackle that people fear or anything like that, but he's somebody that can handle his own on the National Football League stage, and I think that would be good for the Steelers' offensive line as a whole. So let's take a look now that the draft is over, now that free agency is over. This is what I would think that the Steelers would kind of final roster would look like, their depth chart. At quarterback, Kenny Pickett, QB1, all right? I'm very excited about that kid's future. You got Harris and Warren, a really great duo at running back. You got Pickens and Deontay Johnson, two really great receivers there to bolster that receiving game. You got Pat Freiermuth, kind of like that safety blanket for Kenny Pickett. Really great to have him there. Isaiah Wynn, somebody that's really one of the most technically sound tackles in the National Football League when healthy. He'll be healthy next year. I have a lot of confidence in Isaiah Wynn. Then you got Kevin Dotson, who I think is a bit underrated. Mason Cole, who's also underrated in my opinion. And then James Daniels, who most people agree is pretty darn good. And then either Jawan James or Dan Moore Jr., whoever wins the battle there in training camp gets the right tackle spot. The other ends up being the backup. Then on defense, you got, of course, T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith, the golden duo there, the pass rushing duo. Then you got Cam Hayward and J.J. Watt on the interior of the defensive line. You got Siaki Ika, the Hawaiian Mountain, in the middle to stop the run. Then you got Henry To'oTo'o and then either Mark Robinson or Robert Spillane in that second linebacker spot. I think that's pretty solid. And then you got Arthur Maulet, who might not be the best nickel cornerback in the world, but he'll do. He's a good fit for the defense. Then you got Minkah Fitzpatrick, and then you got DeMonte KZ to come in when they play that 3 safety package. When strong safety, Terrell Edmonds, goes down and plays that hybrid linebacker role, which with this roster, I think they would play quite a bit of because it's a bit light in the inside linebacker position. But I'm really excited to see what they can do. And then you also got Sutton, Jackson III, and Christian Gonzalez as your outside cornerbacks. If someone gets hurt, you're taken care of. And then you take a look at the totality of this mock draft here. You got Gonzalez, a future potential #1 corner in the National Football League, potential lockdown guy for the Steelers moving forward. Siaki Ika, fantastic run stuffer, day 1 starter. Same thing with Henry To'oTo'o. He's ready to go out of the package. I really like that kid. Kalijah Cansey, somebody that's a little bit more of a developmental prospect, but somebody worth taking a flyer on. Stetson Bennett, maybe your backup quarterback for the next 5 to 8 years. And then you got a couple of flyers there at the end on Nathaniel Dell, someone that doesn't have great hands, but he's very explosive. And then you got Richard Grugier, which again, if I'm mispronouncing that, I'm sorry, Florida Gator fans, all right? But at the end of the day, I think this is a pretty decent draft. 3 projected day 1 starters. I'm very excited to see if this team, frankly, guys, I'm pretty proud of myself here with this offseason plan. I think with this plan, with this team, if they stay healthy, the Steelers would have an excellent shot at competing for the AFC North Division title with even the Bengals, with even the Ravens if they have Lamar Jackson back. I think this would be a great plan. In my opinion, I think it would set the Steelers up for success way down the line than just 2023. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Grade my offseason plan, A, B, C, D, or F. I'm excited to see what you guys have to say about my offseason plan. I'm pretty proud of it, but I know there's going to be at least a few of you that disagree with it, so I can't wait to have those conversations with you in the comment section. And then I got one last question for you. Are you a true Yinzer? If you bleed black and gold, if you love the Pittsburgh Steelers and you made it to the end of the video, we appreciate you here at Steelers Talk. We're not afraid to say it, man. It really does help the algorithm and all that kind of stuff if you make it to the end of the video. So we appreciate your support. We appreciate everything that you give to the channel. So go ahead and type Yinzer for life in all caps if you made it to the end of today's video. All right, guys, I will see you guys tomorrow. My name is Jack Sperry. This has been Steelers Talk. See you guys.